Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Thursday, the day after Arsenal made it 4 wins in a row in the Premier League, beating Crystal Palace 3-1 at Selhurst Park last night. It's a win that was not quite enough though to keep their Europa League hopes alive going into the final game of the season, because West Ham's win at West Brom means it is now impossible for Arsenal to finish higher than 7th, and obviously you need to be in the top 6 to make it into either the Champions League top 4 or the Europa League places 5th and 6th. So it's Europa Conference League or nothing for Arsenal. We will talk about a little bit about that and about the game last night a little bit later in this video. But I wanted to start off with some transfer news I have published on Goal this morning. I'll drop the story into the comments below and pin it there so you can have a read of that if you so wish. Emiliano Buendia, the Argentine attacking midfielder, playmaker at Norwich City, a player I've discussed many times before in these videos, a player Arsenal have been watching extensively over the last couple of years as he has grown and grown at Carrow Road, is very much on the agenda for Arsenal this summer. They are obviously looking for a playmaker. We know that this summer, Martin Odegaard and what happens with him is going to be key. Mikel Arteta absolutely wants to keep Odegaard at the club. Whether that is possible, though, remains to be seen. He's obviously a Real Madrid player, and a lot depends on what happens at Madrid in the summer in terms of their manager. Zinedine Zidane has never really rated over Odegaard. He's never really given him opportunity. But it looks like Zinedine Zidane may well be on his way out in Madrid. And should that happen, then it is expected the Madrid will want to give Odegaard a chance under a new manager. The club there, the hierarchy at the club are understood to really like Odegaard and see him as one for the future there, and don't really want to cut their ties on him just yet. So if a new manager does come in and does fancy Odegaard, then he'll be given pre-season. It's a chance to really prove himself and lay down a marker for next season in Madrid. So things are very much up in the air when it comes to Odegaard. So Arsenal are looking at alternatives to, I've mentioned before that Nabil Fekir at Real Betis is someone who they have been considering, but from what I understand, Emiliano Buendia now is very much right towards the top of that list. There has been no bid made to Norwich City yet for Buendia, but discussions are ongoing at Arsenal, and the focus is certainly shifting towards him when it comes to potentially making a move, an official move this summer. Now, Norwich are in a very strong position when it comes to Buendia. He's had a fabulous season in the Championship, just been named the Championship's Player of the Season, in fact. I think it's like 14 goals and 16 assists for Buendia this season for Norwich. I think in his debut season in the Premier League before they got relegated last season, he scored once, but he set up 7 in a Norwich team that really struggled that year. So he showed he still can make a mark in the Premier League. He went back down to the Championship. Many expected him to leave. He didn't. He stayed, and he had a fabulous year as Norwich won the title by 6 points. Like I said, being named the Championship's Player of the Season. But he is keen on a move to Arsenal, is my understanding. But Norwich are in a very strong position. He's got 3 years left on his contract. He's 24 years old. They've just been promoted to the Premier League, so it's not like they really need the money now. And he's just been called up by Argentina for the first time, so they are not going to just roll over and allow Buendia to leave for cheap. It looks like something around £40 million would be needed to really get Norwich to take notice when it comes to Arsenal. Like I said, there has been no offer made yet to Norwich. Arsenal just very much putting things in motion before we get to that stage. It's going to be certainly very interesting to see what happens as the summer goes on. I really like Buendia, and I don't. People who say, he's come from Championship, not proven in Premier League, I don't buy into that. I think we've seen so many times in recent years examples of players making a step up after impressing the Championship and being more than good enough in the Premier League. We've seen it with Ollie Watkins this season at Aston Villa, for example. And Buendia is ready, 24. It's a good age. Like I said, just been called up to the Argentina national side. Offers an awful lot, real talent, nowhere near hit his ceiling yet. And I think he's a really exciting player. And that's the sort of age category that Arsenal should be looking at, in my view, when it comes to bringing players in. And he's hungry. He wants to prove himself. He's done his job at Norwich City. And there is, from my understanding, there's no agreement in place. There was no gentleman's agreement or anything like that. Sometimes exists in football. So when they went down last season, he didn't agree with the club. All right, I'll give you one more year, try and get you back up to the Premier League, and then you agree to let me go. From my understanding is that doesn't exist. So again, that strengthens Norwich's position further this summer. And if Arsenal are to make this interest and really firm it up and make a bid official, then they're going to have to really show the colour of their money. Whether they can do something in terms of a swap deal or anything like that remains to be seen. Like Arsenal got a lot of players they need to get out the door this summer, and I think swap deals are certainly going to be on the agenda, because there are players like Reece Nelson, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, those sort of players who could potentially sweeten some deals, and when it comes to getting players in, and maybe that is something that Arsenal could do with Norwich to try and help facilitate this move with Buendia, should they firm up this interest and really table an offer that they think can make tempt Norwich into doing business. So like I said, please do read the full story. I've put it down there in the comments below. Give that a read and let me know what you think. Would it be a good signing? Is he the type of player you think Arsenal need? As always, let me know in the comments below. Okay, shall we quickly talk about Joe Willock, record breaker Joe Willock, before we get onto the Crystal Palace game last night. He scored again for Newcastle yesterday, scored the winner, in fact. 6 Premier League games in a row he has scored in now. He's the youngest player ever to do that in the competition. So he has now written his name in the Premier League record books. Joe Willock, what a loan spell he has had there. He's scored more goals in the last 6 games for Newcastle than all of Arsenal's midfielders combined this season. Just had an absolutely exceptional loan spell. It's going to put Arsenal in a difficult position. I've said this before. You know, what do they do? It's a really difficult decision for Arsenal. If there are going to be really big offers coming in for Willock this season, and Newcastle again, Steve Bruce talking after the game, saying that he wanted to keep Joe Willock, but he's Arsenal's player, so they're going to have conversations. But say Newcastle throw in a £30 million bid, something like that, Arsenal are going to have to really think about it. I know there's a lot of clamour right now for Willock to come back because of what he's done while he's been on loan. You know, he scores goals from midfield. Arsenal players don't do that. So Arsenal could do with it, and I understand that. But you also look at what we've seen really from Willock so far before he went to Newcastle. Was there much to really suggest that he's an absolute long-term Arsenal player? I'm not so sure. And so you kind of look at it that way and think, will his value ever be higher? What if he stays at Newcastle or has another loan this next season perhaps, and doesn't replicate this sort of form next season, and that value absolutely drops? So you kind of look at it two ways and think it's going to be a really difficult decision for Arsenal. Do they keep him? Do they think he has got the potential to be a real first team player at Arsenal, or do you sell him now when you think his value may well be higher than it will ever be this summer? So it's a big decision for him, for Arsenal. And Joe Willock was talking about his future after the game last night. He was asked, are you going to come back? Can this be something that will be permanent? And he said, I'm not sure. I need to have a conversation and see what the best move for me is. I've made friends for life here at Newcastle and made a really big connection with the fans. It is one of my options, and I am going to consider it. To make history at this special club is special for me. I came here on loan to help the team, and it's turned into a brilliant story. No surprise that Willock has absolutely loved his life up in Newcastle. It's been, like I said, a fabulous loan spell for him. I don't think any of us could have predicted exactly what he was going to do. We knew he's a goal-scoring midfielder. We knew he gets into those type of positions, and he's very good when it comes to making runs into the box late, but he's added an awful lot into the game. You've seen he scored a couple of headers up there for Newcastle. The one yesterday was a great header. Didn't really see too much of that while he was at Arsenal. Full of confidence. Very, very young. He's a very talented player, so it's going to be intriguing to see what Arsenal do with Joe Willock. As always, let me know what you think. Do you think Arsenal should keep him, or do you think this is the time to sell, to take the money potentially when his value is going to be higher than it ever has been? It's a risk. It's definitely a risk, because do you see him? What if you sell him for 30 million? He continues this sort of form next season, bangs in 15 odd goals. Suddenly his value rockets even further. So this is the type of decisions that clubs have to make. They can go one or two ways, and it's certainly going to be a tricky one for Arsenal, who have always said that they see Willock as a part of their future and that he will come back and make a play for the first team next season. That's always been the message that have come out of Arsenal ever since he's gone out on loan to Newcastle. But should a big bid go in, then they're certainly going to have to think about exactly what they're going to do. And we talk about Buendia there earlier being worth potentially sort of £40 million. That's what Norwich are looking for him. Because of what he's done, because of his age, because of his contract. And then you look at what Joe Willock's done in the Premier League, something Buendia hasn't done. Similar age, similar contract, but he scored goals in the Premier League. And you're thinking, well, if Buendia is worth 40 million, potentially Joe Willock, why isn't he worth 40, 50 million quid? But then you also have to factor in he's done this on the back of 6 games, basically. He scored 6 goals in 6 games. It's not like he did it all the time when he was at Arsenal. So it is a tricky one. It's an interesting one. But fair play to Joe Willock. He's been an absolute sensation up at Newcastle and he deserves all the praise that he is getting. And it's going to leave Arsenal with a difficult decision come the summer, I think. Okay, let's quickly talk about Crystal Palace. Obviously, yesterday, good game, good win for Arsenal. Interesting game. First half, I thought Arsenal were really, really good. Scored a great goal through Nicolas Pepe. Lovely team move involving Saka and Tierney. Then they were horrendous in the second half. Arsenal completely lost their way, let Palace back into the game. Benteke scored his header from the free kick. Dreadful marking, defending from Arsenal, even if there was a hint of offside about it. VAR clearly said he wasn't. But then fair play to Arsenal. Mikel Arteta made a couple of changes. The changes did make an impression. He brought on Martinelli, brought on Granit Xhaka, he brought a little bit more to the midfield. I thought Thomas Partey was beginning to get a little bit tired, although I thought Partey played very well, especially in the first half. And then Martinelli got his goal. Great ball by Martin Odegaard. Lovely finish from Martinelli, great run as well, and then Pepe scored a brilliant goal as well in injury time. So 3-1 Arsenal. At that point, you've always still got a chance of the Europa League, but obviously West Ham then went and got 2 late goals in their game at West Brom, and that ended that for Arsenal. Now they can't finish any higher than 7th. They can't catch West Ham in 6th, which means Europa League football is not going to be coming to the Emirates next season, and it is Conference League or nothing. If you finish 7th in the Premier League, you qualify for the Conference League. The first time this competition has ever been held. Not very exciting real prospect for Arsenal for that one. I've talked about it before. There's plenty of cons to it. I don't see too many pros for it, apart from giving youngsters a chance, because I can't imagine first team players will be really heavily involved in that one, certainly in the earlier rounds. Mikel Arteta is saying he wants to be in Europe, whatever the competition. Well, I wonder deep down if he really does actually believe that, if he does think it'd be better just to have a week, just basically go week by week, play in the Premier League, focusing on the Premier League, allowing the players to rest, that sort of thing. But certainly publicly, Mikel Arteta is still saying that he wants to be involved in Europe, whatever the competition. We're speaking to Arteta again tomorrow morning. After last night's game, when we spoke to him, the West Ham result wasn't through yet, so we didn't know yet if Arsenal were going to still have a chance at the Europa League on the final day. We do now, so it'll be interesting to get his thoughts now that he knows it is Conference League or nothing. Arsenal obviously sitting 9th in the Premier League table at the moment, but only 1 point behind Everton and 1 point behind Tottenham. And when you think Tottenham go away to Leicester, who's got to win if they want to qualify for the Champions League, or have a hope of qualifying for the Champions League, and that Everton play Manchester City, then it's all, and Arsenal are home to Brighton, and you almost look at that and think Arsenal are favourites to get 7th, because if those two drop points and Arsenal win, then they're going to finish 7th, and that will see them into the Conference League. So all of a sudden you kind of look at it and think Arsenal are actually favourites for that. So it's an interesting prospect, I have to say. But Mikel very happy. He said, look, the moment we conceded the goal, after losing and making an unnecessary foul in a dangerous area, we conceded the goal, and after that we just lost it. We started to give balls away. We didn't look composed at the back during our build-up, and we looked uncertain. When that happens, long balls, second balls, duels, 50-50 balls, they were much better than us at that. But I think after the changes, we got control back much better. We were composed, played in the final third, we out-created much, and I must say, but at the end, it was 2 great actions. We managed to win the game. Now, 2 great goals from Nicolas Pepe in the first half and in the second half. 14 goals this season now for Pepe, 6 in his last 10. Really, really stepping up. Impressive numbers, you have to say, this season now for a winger. 14 goals in all competitions. Got 8 last season, and he's improved on that number this season. Gets an awful lot of flack, Nicolas Pepe, mainly because of that price tag. But when you look at the numbers he's producing well, and 14 goals for a winger in England is a decent result, even if most of those, well, a lot of those did come in Europe. Mikel was asked about him after the game, do you think he's really showing signs now of being at his very, very best? And he said, I'm very encouraged and positive to think that for 2 reasons. One, because he's come a long way in terms of consistency and what he's producing in games. And the second one, because he has his serious mindset. He wants to look at every action. He wants to look at every post-match reflection we do with him individually. He wants to work and he wants to be the best. And when that happens and he has the talent that he has, I think it's a really good mixture. So nice words there from Arteta, from Nicolas Pepe, who is really making a claim this season, certainly in the second half of the season, to be one of Arsenal's main stars next year in 2021-2022. As maybe is Gabriel Martinelli popped up with that vital second goal yesterday, just when Arsenal needed it. Really good run, good finish as well. Initially, I said he bundled it in, but when you watched it at the replay, it was a really tricky ball to control. That through ball from Odegaard, it was curling, it would bounce right in front of him. It was tricky to control, and I think he actually did really, really well with that initial first touch to take it away from the goalkeeper before poking it in. Mikel was asked afterwards, how close is he to a starting spot now, a full-on regular starting spot, and he said very close. He needs to keep fighting to be closer. We need to understand where these boys are they in the phase of their development and what they have done already this season and last season. I know we all want to play with 11 academy players under 20, but guys, who is doing that? We are doing more than anybody, and they are getting their chances and they are earning their chances. It's not like we are just giving them the chances. They are earning them, and it's a joy to have them with us. He's obviously talking about the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe there, and I can understand what he means. There's obviously always a big clamour for the young kids to play. We've seen it with Martinelli constantly this season, but you've got to remember that Arsenal are playing an awful lot of youngsters, certainly in the forward line, and maybe it's not beneficial to throw them all in, but still it's hard to make a case for Martinelli not playing very regularly at the moment. Perhaps not as a central striker. When we saw him get that start recently, it didn't really work for him there, but when he comes in off that left hand side, he makes that run. He's very lively, and he's always involved in the game. He's far more involved than Aubameyang, who I thought was awful yesterday in all aspects of the match. And Martinelli speaking afterwards, he said, look, I'm always ready when Mikel needs me. I'll be there to come on and score a goal. It's not easy, not starting regularly, but as I said, I'm always ready. It's a good mindset from Gabriel Martinelli there. Okay, before I go, let's quickly just talk about player ratings. I'll just rattle through these. I didn't get time to do them yesterday, but I'll go through them quickly for you, for any of you who are interested. I thought Leno played pretty well. Couldn't really do anything with the goal, but made a couple of sharp stops. Had to deal with a lot of crosses in towards Benteke as well. He handled most of those pretty well, so I'm going to give Leno a 7. Defensively, I thought Arsenal lost their way in the second half. The centre-backs at times just couldn't really deal with Benteke, and I'm not sure who is supposed to be picking him up. You don't often see Holding and Gabriel play together. It's normally Holding and Mari, or obviously Gabriel and Luiz, but yesterday we saw those two as a partnership, and maybe the understanding wasn't quite there at times. I'm going to give Chambers a 6, Holding a 6, Gabriel a 6, and Tierney a 7. Tierney gets a 7 for that wonderful cross and move to set up the opening goal for Nicolas. Pepe. Midfield, I'm going to give El Neni a 6 and Thomas Partey a 7. I thought Partey, especially in the first half, was really good in breaking up play and controlling things for Arsenal. Up in the forward line, Saka gets a 6, Smith Rowe gets a 6. Pepe gets an 8. Those 2 goals, absolutely excellent. Pepe, my man of the match because of that. Aubameyang gets a 4. As I said, I thought Aubameyang had a really disappointing afternoon in all aspects. Didn't really hold the ball up, was never really involved. The one chance he did get in the second half, he put wide. So Aubameyang gets a 4. In terms of the sub, I'm just going to give Martinelli a rating. Going to give him a 7 just because of that goal and the importance of it, even though he's on the pitch for a very short time. As always, let me know if you agree with those ratings or not. Drop them all. Anything you agree or disagree with that you've seen in this video, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, everyone. Do have a very good day. Like I said, we'll be speaking to Mikel Arteta in the morning, bright and early tomorrow. So keep an eye out for a video after that, having a look at what the Arsenal manager had to say. Until then, enjoy your day. I'll speak to you very soon.